Before the first dawn ever broke upon the earth, the heavens trembled. The silence of eternity shivered beneath a forbidden thought. Stars dimmed their light, as if they too feared what was to come. In the high courts of heaven, whispers stirred, soft like the rustle of wings. Desire, a flame unknown to the divine, began to burn within their immortal hearts. It was a longing to touch what was never meant to be touched, to know a love bound by time. A choice was made, a boundary crossed, and heaven watched as its sons prepared to descend, leaving eternity behind for a single, stolen lifetime. The watchers gazed down upon the earth, their hearts moved by the fleeting beauty of mortal lives, and in that gaze, rebellion was born. One by one, they turned from the celestial choir and looked toward the forbidden. Heaven wept as they fell, streaks of fire tearing the velvet sky, and the stars wept embers in their wake. The earth trembled to receive them, wings of pure light turning to ash and shadow upon impact. They were called gods by some, angels by others, but in truth they were neither. They were the fallen, the first exiles, and in the profound silence between worlds, their story truly began. Thrones were woven from starlight, their duties etched in cosmic law. The watchers gazed down from the celestial parapet, their forms brilliant and untouched by shadow. But the world below sang a siren's song, a chorus of mortal laughter and fleeting sorrow. One by one they descended, their halos dimming like embers as their feet touched the soil of the earth. Heaven's laws became a distant echo, and the boundary between divine and mortal blurred into a soft, inviting haze. The daughters of men moved like living poetry, their laughter echoing in places where sound had no name. Their hair flowed like earthly rivers, and their eyes held the fire of fleeting, precious life. A curiosity, once a whisper, swelled into a forbidden longing. A storm in the hearts of beings meant only for stillness. They, who were forged from spirit and starlight, began to desire the fleeting beauty of flesh and bone. And as twilight fell upon the mortal world, the watchers saw this fragile existence not as a duty to guard, but as a treasure to possess. And they descended, leaving the heavens behind. And as the last watcher stepped from the golden stairs, a silence fell upon the heavens, for a covenant was broken and a new age of shadow had begun. In the age of innocence, humanity knew only the earth and sky. Then, from the heavens the watchers descended, their presence a shadow falling over the world. They walked among the daughters of men, their divine forms cloaked in shadow and mystery. In secret groves and under moonlit skies they shared forbidden knowledge and whispered promises of eternity. They did not come empty-handed. They brought with them forbidden lore, secrets torn from the fabric of creation. Humans were taught the art of enchantments, the weaving of sorcery, and the dark power of root-cutting. Knowledge that was sacred became profane, a tool for greed and ambition. The earth, once pure, grew heavy with corruption, and the gifts of the watchers became a curse upon the land. From their union with mortals, a new race was born, the Nephilim, their cries echoing with a power not meant for the world. They grew faster than any mortal child, their eyes glowing with the smoldering fire of their sires. Their footsteps cracked stone, and their hands could uproot ancient trees as if they were mere saplings. When they clashed in play or in anger, the very mountains trembled and the land itself groaned under the weight of their might. Their stature was immense, a terrifying marvel, but their hunger was a bottomless abyss. They consumed the fruits of the land, the harvests of humanity, and the flesh of their livestock, leaving only scarcity in their wake. When the world's offerings were exhausted, they turned their monstrous appetite upon mankind itself, and a tide of violence and blood washed over the plains. And as chaos reigned and fear consumed all hope, the heavens looked down upon a world scarred by its children, and saw that it was broken. Under their heavy tread, the world buckled and groaned. Rivers were forced from their ancient beds, forests of old were torn down like weeds, and mountains were shattered to dust. The kingdoms of mortals, once proud and bright, either fell to ruin or bent the knee, their strength like whispers against the thunder of the giants. And as the world reshaped itself in their image, a new, darker age began to dawn, born not of creation, but of conquest. Villages whispered their names in terror, while kings trembled on their thrones, their armies helpless before the might of a single giant. They hunted beasts that legends feared and carved kingdoms from the raw wilderness, their strength a challenge to the very gods. The world was remade in their image, a land of fear and awe, where humanity was but dust beneath their feet. And as civilizations bowed before them, a new age of giants dawned, their dominance absolute, their legend etched in stone and sorrow, their boundless strength twisted into violence, their once innocent curiosity curdled into a chilling cruelty. The awe they had inspired now gave way to a deep and pervasive terror that crept across the land. Cities raised their walls to the heavens, but these fortifications proved to be nothing more than sand against a tidal wave. Entire kingdoms, built over generations, crumbled into dust beneath the giants' thunderous footsteps. On the battlefield, armies of men scattered like leaves in a storm at the mere sight of a single Nephilim. A ravenous hunger began to stir within them, an insatiable void that could never be filled. They consumed the livestock from the fields, then turned their appetite upon humanity itself. The world, once vibrant and alive, now trembled in fear, held captive by the unquenchable greed of the giants who walked upon it. Humans fled to caves, mountains, deserts, anywhere the giants could not easily reach. Their cries rose like smoke into the heavens, a mournful song of a world undone. The earth groaned under the weight of colossal feet, and the rivers ran red with the blood of the innocent. The Most High watched the chaos spread from his throne of stars. The laments of mankind, the corruption of his perfect creation, the arrogant rebellion of angels, all rose together like a storm before him, a cacophony that shook the foundations of the cosmos. Whispers then moved through the celestial realm, like the rustling of 1,000 unseen wings. "The earth is broken," they murmured. "The divine balance is gone. Judgment must come." The heavens grew still, holding their breath as a silence fell over the angelic court. A decision was made, not with a word, but with a gaze that turned toward the fractured world below. The storm was about to break. A single command echoed through eternity, quiet, final, unstoppable. Heaven had decided the age of giants would end. One man found favor, Noah. While the world drowned in violence and pride, he stood apart, a whisper of righteousness in a chorus of chaos. Heaven gave him instructions. Build an ark of gopher wood, gather the innocent of every kind, and prepare for what must come. The hammer's echo was a promise against the storm. The fallen angels felt the shift in creation, a tremor in the very fabric of the world. They knew the punishment was coming, a flood to wash away their defiance. Their stolen wings burned not with fire but with regret. Their immortal hearts shook with a new, cold weight, and for the first time they tasted fear as the first drop of rain began to fall. Even before the heavens wept, the Nephilim felt a tremor in the soul of the world, a coming doom. The sun fled, and the skies bruised to a violent purple as thunder cracked like the breaking of bones. The giants, whose might had shaken the foundations of the earth, now roared in defiance against a storm that did not answer. Then a single raindrop fell, a herald of the end. It was followed by a legion, then a deluge that blurred the line between heaven and earth. The skies tore open, and from the planet's heart, the great deep burst forth to meet the falling waters. Mountains were swallowed by waves that surged like liquid mountains themselves. The Nephilim, children of gods and men, fought with the fury of a dying age, but the flood was relentless, a patient, rising darkness. One by one, they were consumed, their roars silenced by the very waters they were born to command, vanishing into the abyss. The Watchers were condemned, their rebellion destined to fall. Bound in chains of darkness, they were cast into the deepest valleys of the earth, imprisoned in shadow until the final judgment. Their cries were swallowed by stone and soil, their corruption washed clean from the world above. The great storm ended, and the world fell silent, holding its breath under a sky swept clean of chaos. When the waters receded, they revealed a world reborn, one free from the shadows of giants and the echoes of celestial rebellion. The sun rose over glistening landscapes, painting the horizon with a promise of renewal. a covenant etched in light. And as humanity stepped out onto the damp earth, a new chapter began, not with a roar of triumph, but with the quiet, hopeful beat of a second chance.
I would love to take a minute of your time, like and engage for more breathtaking stories. Hit the subscribe button.
The battlefield was silent after the floodwaters faded, and the bodies of giants lay scattered like broken monuments. When their flesh dissolved into the soil, something remained. Shadows rising from the ruins, drifting without form or rest. These were the fallen remnants, the echoes of might that the waters could not wash away. A lone shepherd walked through the valley at dusk, where the air hung heavy and still. The wind carried no sound, until whispers curled around him, voices not of men, but of malice. A cold breath brushed his neck, and a voice rasped from the gloom. "We are not undone." The shepherd fled as the shadows swirled, forever bound to the earth, hungry for the life they had lost. Enoch stood upon a mountain, his gaze lifted as the veil between worlds thinned. He saw what others could not. Spirits wandering the earth, pale and restless, born of forbidden unions between angels and mortals. Their earthly bodies had perished in the great flood, but their spirits remained, formless, hungry, and bound to the land. A voice like distant thunder echoed from the heavens. "Their flesh is dust, but their spirits shall plague the world until the day of judgment." On the plains below, children cried without reason, their tears flowing for sorrows they did not know. Animals fled from unseen terrors, and fires dimmed suddenly in quiet homes, as if smothered by a passing shadow. The elders knew the signs, unseen feet treading across their thresholds, unseen eyes watching from the deep woods, and they whispered of the lingering darkness. The age of light had passed, and silence fell like a shroud. A young woman knelt, her breath a ragged whisper as an unseen weight settled upon her soul. Her lantern, a lone spark against the gloom, flickered weakly, casting long, dancing shadows. From that darkness, a silhouette took form, vast and broad-shouldered like a titan of old, yet twisted, a hollow echo of smoke and sorrow. The spirit reached out a hand of shadow, not in malice, but in a desperate, silent plea for the strength it had lost. Night consumed the world, and under its cold gaze, the spirits roamed, rootless, tormented by a thirst for power, trapped in the twilight between what was and what could never be. They looked to the silent heavens, knowing their doom was sealed, yet unable to break the chains of their ethereal prison, forever wandering in the dusk of creation. The battlefield was silent after the floodwaters faded, and the bodies of giants lay scattered like broken monuments. When Enoch stood upon a mountain, his gaze lifted as the veil between worlds thinned. He saw what others could not. The age of light had passed, and silence fell like a shroud. Enoch stood alone beneath a trembling sky, where the air grew heavy with an unseen presence. Thunder rolled without lightning, a deep hum that resonated not in the ears, but in the soul itself. A voice, not of wind or earth, but from the space between moments, whispered to him a sacred and terrible command. "Speak what you have seen," it commanded, "for the judgment draws near." In a vision, the world dissolved, and he saw the fallen watchers, their pride broken, as chains of pure fire wrapped around them, dragging them into darkness. Their cries of anguish echoed across the void, a symphony of despair. He returned to the mountain, his voice now imbued with divine authority, and declared, "Your children, the Nephilim, shall find no refuge. Their spirits shall perish in the final fire, and their reign of ruin is at its end." In the sky, a searing brilliance tore through the heavens, a fire that was not born of sun or star. The disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, once mighty and defiant, recoiled in a terror they had never known. They scattered like smoke before a divine wind, their essence shrinking from the holy light. On the earth below, a small remnant of humanity emerged from their shelters, their faces turned upward. They saw the sky itself become a scroll of judgment, inscribed with a law that could not be broken. They trembled, not just in fear, but in understanding, for they had seen the price of defiance. And as the last echo of the decree faded, a profound silence fell upon the land, a world cleansed and awaiting its dawn. In kingdoms rising, long after the flood, New rulers stood on high balconies, gazing at their lands with hunger. One such king, clothed in gold and pride, dreamed of powers beyond mortal reach. He sought forbidden wisdom from shadows and whispers, longing to bend creation to his own will and command the heavens themselves. But his most loyal advisor, a man whose eyes held the memory of ages, spoke softly. "Sire, desire that crosses the boundary of heaven brings only ruin. Even the watchers who walked among the stars fell to this very temptation." The king's heart trembled, for in his advisor's words he saw the reflection of his own ambition. He saw in his own soul the same pride that had cast angels from the light, a darkness gathering at the edge of his magnificent kingdom. Travelers crossing ancient deserts often stumbled upon strange, massive remnants half buried in the sand, bones too large to belong to any man. The wind hummed over them like a mournful hymn. "They belonged to those who forsook heaven's command," one traveler whispered. In the age before the sands, giants walked the earth, their heads brushing the clouds and their footsteps shaking the very foundations of the world. They were forged from stone and pride, believing their strength rivaled the heavens. They built towers of obsidian that scraped the stars, their laughter echoing like thunder. But their hearts grew dark with arrogance, and they turned from the light that gave them form. The sky wept fire and the mountains trembled, crumbling to dust beneath their feet. The earth swallowed their cities whole, and the seas rose to wash away their monuments. All that remains is their story, written in dust and stone, a silent testament to an empire of giants now sleeping in the sand. And the wastelands themselves seem haunted by memory, as though the earth refuses to forget the footsteps of those who once brought it to its knees. In the shadow of a fallen world, a lesson was etched into the memory of the earth. The tale of the Nephilim became a mirror, reflecting not their glory, but the stark silhouette of pride against the heavens. It spoke of a rebellion born from desire, a cosmic law broken, and a price paid in fire and flood. The consequences of their defiance echoed through the ruins of their age, a solemn reminder whispered on the wind. Through the ruin and the renewal, a single, unshakable truth endured. The order of heaven stands eternal. Those who rise against it are destined to fall, their names scattered like dust. And those who remember this truth live on, their feet planted firmly on the redeemed earth, their eyes fixed upon the unwavering light above.